Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Rust Belt Collector here, and today I wanted to share an absolutely amazing haul that I got from Facebook Marketplace. I could not believe someone was selling all of this fairly local to me. I did have to drive a little bit up into Michigan to get this, but you know, it was worth it. You'll see just in a second here how worth it was. Facebook Marketplace can be hit or miss sometimes, but this was definitely a hit. Now, if you happen to follow me over on Instagram, a lot of you probably already saw this in my story. However, there were several people who DM'd me and said they want to see a video on this. So here it is. Here's the video on what I found on Facebook Marketplace. Starting things off big, we have the AT-AP, I believe. I can never remember all the different acronyms, but this is the Kashyyyk variant, which is perfect for my army build because, I mean, if you know my channel, you know, I'm a Kashyyyk collector. I like my Kashyyyk troopers. I like my Order 66 2-pack Kashyyyk troopers. I like my bogey squad. This is perfect. It's the standard regular AT-AP that Hasbro released. You can put 2 pilots in it. You can put a gunner up top, but this one comes with the green paint apps here, as well as some camouflage striping on the legs. I've never actually owned one of these. This is the first time I've actually interacted with one in hand, and I gotta say, it's pretty cool. It's very detailed. It's also very classic Hasbro. It's been scaled down from its normal size. I think that this portion here is roughly the size of like half of an ATTE in universe. So, I mean, this is a little bit scaled down, but it is a toy. It's an action figure toy. The only downside really that I found with it, apart from the scale, is that this central leg that is meant to be kind of a stabilizer leg is too short to actually reach the ground. So its only function is to be folded up like that. Kind of weird. I wish that it was a little bit longer just so that you could kind of have it be a tri-legged walker, but you know, it's cool the way that it is. I'm really glad that it is the Kashyyyk variant because it's a little bit less common, and obviously, like I said, it fits so well with my army build. Next, we have a baggie of figures. There's going to be a lot of these little baggies of figures, so you'll just have to kind of bear with me. But, you know, there's some good stuff in here. Some really cool figures, some that I already have, some that I don't already have. But first up is some fodder. We have a fodder Phase 2 Captain Rex figure. He's missing pretty much everything, but I think that this will be suitable for a custom figure sometime down the line. Next up, we have the Snowtrooper Captain Rex, and he is about as complete as you will ever find him. They're always missing the shoulder pads. This one's missing a hand. I think the only way you'll ever get one of these complete is if you buy it brand new, because these guys always are missing accessories. He also had a backpack, blasters. You'll never find this guy complete. Luckily, he actually has the little cap for his helmet. That's typically another piece that's missing, but you know, he'll just go in the fodder bin. Following that up, we have a bit of a rarity here. This is the Battlefront 2 Galactic Marine. You can tell that it is the Battlefront 2 version because it is a darker red color than the other variants. The boots are darker, the backpack is darker, and the skin tone is lighter. If you want to see comparisons of all the different versions, you can always go over to JCC2224's channel, look up every Galactic Marine ever, and you'll see all of those compared. It's actually, I think, his first clone corner, so that's a little fun fact for you. If you want to see them all side by side, he has them all. But this is a rarer variant of the figure. Obviously, it doesn't have its helmet, so, I mean, I can track one down, or maybe he'll just be helmetless in the collection. I don't know, but still, really good figure to have. And in keeping with the Battlefront 2 theme, we have another one, the Battlefront 2 Jet Trooper. This is actually a figure that I've been missing in my collection for quite a while. I've always loved this design, especially because he has a very unique jetpack as well as a completely unique helmet. You can see his crest does not go all the way back, and they never use this helmet on any other figure. So it's a really cool figure, and I'm really happy to have it in the collection finally. Following that up, we have a Clone Trooper pilot. This is just the standard oddball version of the character from 2008. Nothing really exciting here. This one's a little bit yellowed, but that's kind of to be expected with these older clones. You'll get yellowed ones no matter what you do, so nothing really crazy there, but yeah, always good to have more pilots. And next up, we also have another pilot. This one's a bit more beat up and dirty. He's also got a broken off hand there, but this is the later version. I think this was a vehicle pack-in, if I'm not mistaken. You can see the body mold is completely different, as well as the helmet mold. This one's a little bit more accurate to the show, and this one's a little bit more posable, so kind of, you know, you have some choices if you are looking for an animated Clone Wars pilot, so that's always nice. Next up, we have Commander Neo, and he's a little bit discolored. It's hard to say if that's like some sort of dirt or grime from just the environment that they were stored in, or if it's yellowing. I'm going to go with maybe grime, but either way, I mean, his blaster is still rubber band in his hand, and this blaster actually has some silver dry brushing on it. I never realized that he had anything special about his blaster. I think this is the Legacy Collection version of this figure, so I guess they took the time to actually do a dry brush on that blaster, which I did not know about. Two more figures that I was really missing in my collection are Jek and Reese, and I now have both of those. I do have a Lieutenant Thyre already, so this kind of completes that trio from the very first Clone Wars episode. And yes, they have their helmet, though I really can never remember which one is Jek and which one is Reese. I think Jek is the bald one and Reese is the normal one with the dual blasters. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Jek normally has a Commander Grease style like bandolier, and I think he's missing that. But I don't mind that too much. I can always find a loose Commander Grease somewhere and just take one off of him and put it on him. So not a big deal, but it's really nice to have these in the collection finally as well. Two of the Coruscant Guard figures I was just kind of missing because I had Lieutenant Thyre. Now I have these to go with him. And there's even more fodder here. This time, it's a really tragic bag of figure fodder. It's the rest of the Battlefront 2 battle pack, and they all have something missing. The sharpshooter is kind of yellowed, and he's missing his helmet. The heavy trooper is missing his hand, although that should be fairly replaceable. He does have his rocket launcher, which is nice because this is a very cool, unique rocket that only came with this figure. The standard trooper is missing his helmet, and he's also fairly yellowed, which is regrettable. And the clone engineer is missing both of his hands. That could also be replaceable, just depending on if I have some other fodder figures that are compatible. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to get this set. I do so love the Battlefront 2 set. I already have all of these figures in good condition, although now that I'm thinking about it, I may not have this guy. I may not have the 501st Trooper at all, so that's a bit of a bummer, but I can always just sub in a standard 501st Trooper. Next up, we have one of my all-time favorite Clone Trooper molds. I know that's kind of a weird take since this guy just has like the swivel elbows and stuff, but I'm pretty sure that this was my very first Clone Trooper. If not my very first, then like my second Clone Trooper I ever owned. And I always liked it. It's got the outwards at the hips. It's got really, really good mobility. The elbows are the only downside. It's a cool design, it's a cool character, and it's got good mobility as an action figure. I always remember having a lot of fun with this one. Unfortunately, this one is missing the shoulder pad, but I really don't mind getting multiples of this figure because if you take off all of his equipment and stuff, it's a really solid plain Clone Trooper. If you keep it all on, it just looks cool. I love the gunner design that they used. In the concept art, they never actually had this in the movie, but still, it's a really, really cool clone. Next up, I got one of my favorite Clone Wars figures of all time, and it's also one of the hardest Clone Wars figures to find, at least in decent quantity at a decent price. It is the Phase 2 Clone Trooper, just a plain Phase 2 Clone Trooper. This is one of my favorite Clone Wars figures. This figure wasn't always one of my favorites, but it really has grown on me, and I've just been trying to get more of them in my collection because you know, they're cool. And if I can get multiples, I may actually go out and do some customs with them. I really don't want to do it when I just have like one or two, but if I get multiples, I'll definitely try and do some custom legions, maybe like a 212, maybe a 501st. But yeah, this is such a great clone mold. They only ever used it a handful of times. It's such a solid figure and actually captures the animation style so well. I also wanted to say that this is a figure I would love to find a fodder beat up version of because I always seem to see them like this, you know, complete, in good condition, not very played with or damaged or anything. But like having this Captain Rex body now really makes me want just a completely beat up version of this figure because you can just straight up take the helmet off of this one and swap it over onto Captain Rex with no problem. And right there is a custom unique commander. You could add a visor and make it Commander Fox. You could make it into, I guess maybe Commander Doom or Commander Thorn, or maybe your own OC commander. I mean, there are a lot of options with a simple head swap like that. And unfortunately, I really don't want to do that with a standard clean one that isn't damaged. I don't want to ruin one of these nice figures just to make a custom. So hopefully someday I will find one of these that's just so beat up that the only thing to do is make it into a custom clone. Once again, with another Clone Wars figure, we have Draw, I think. I think this is Draw. There's Buzz and there's Draw. I think that this is Draw. Anyways, it's a cool clone. It's a 41st Elite Clone Trooper as well, so it kind of fits with my army building of Kashyyyk Troopers, because I guess technically this guy is a Kashyyyk Trooper in his Phase 1 gear. But when it comes right down to it, this is just another cool, unique clone trooper from the Clone Wars, and there are so many of them, and I love each and every one of them. I will never be a completionist, but if I could, it would be nice to have one of every unique clone trooper in the entire Hasbro line. Now, Draw and this next bag both show something about early Clone Wars Hasbro versus later Clone Wars Hasbro, and I find it really interesting. Now, this set is a battle pack from one specific episode of the Clone Wars where these droids invade a diplomatic spaceship and end up actually killing these two clone troopers here. This is Mixer and this is Red Eye, I believe. But yeah, these guys are on screen for like 3 seconds, if that even. They are on screen and they instantly die. Draw is on screen for maybe a few seconds as well. He's not in the episode for very long, but we still have figures of all 3 of these characters. And that is what Hasbro was doing back in the day. They were making every single character that came on screen, even characters that were there for like a few seconds, which was just, it was awesome. You really didn't run out of clone trooper variants that you could add to your collection. If you liked the 501st, you had multiple different characters like this that were uniquely decoed 501st characters. If you liked the 41st, you had a couple different ones of those as well that were uniquely decoed. But then came the later years, and the Clone Wars series switched over to the Phase 2 armor, and we never got figures for 90% of those designs. We never even got the standard ones, like a 212th, like a 501st. We never got a shock trooper or a Camino security guard. And that's just such a bummer because there were so many cool troopers and commanders that were in those later seasons of the Clone Wars, and we never got figures of them. It's such a shame, and I don't know if the reason is the Disney acquisition or if it was just Clone Wars sales kind of petering out, maybe viewership of the series was down. I really don't know. It would have been amazing if they had used this mold and molds like it to create as many repaints as we got with the Phase 1 molds like these, because we really missed out on some absolutely amazing figures because of something. I really don't know the reason. Now this haul is looking really, really good, but there is still one more thing that I was able to get, and to give you a hint, I'll show this. Many of you probably know what this is. I did not realize how rare this was when I got it. But yeah, this is a gunship ball turret, which currently on the aftermarket is worth about as much as I paid for this entire haul, which is insane to me. I am really, really baffled by why anyone would pay that much for this, but some people do. And it was attached to this. This is the Clone Wars variant of the Republic gunship from Hasbro. I think that this was a Toys R Us exclusive. The main differences here from other standard gunships was the nose art here, as well as these little doors on the side and the longer space doors on the troop bay. This is probably tied for the most expensive gunship variant with the Tiger Shark gunship and the Vintage Collection gunship. Those 3 together are probably the rarest and most sought after. I guess I don't know if they're the rarest. They're the most sought after. They're the ones that most people are looking for when it comes to picking up a gunship. And I am really pleased to have this one in the collection now as well. It does have most of its rockets. The nose rockets are in one of the baggies, and it has the ones up here as well. And yeah, just it's really awesome. I rarely find stuff like this on Facebook Marketplace. So when it popped up, I immediately messaged the guy, and he was willing to meet pretty quickly. So I drove over there and we had a deal. I'm very happy with that deal. And again, what I find most incredible about this haul is that all of it could really be paid for with just this single ball turret. I'm baffled by that. But yeah, who knew that this kind of thing would be rare? You know, it's just one of those things that not everybody was able to get their hands on, I guess, and now they want it to complete their gunships. But I am super happy to add all of these to my collection, especially the Battlefront 2 figures. I've been looking for those for a while to finally complete that assortment. And getting a couple more of these variants from the Clone Wars is super exciting as well. I just love having all the different colors and all the different character designs from the Clone Wars. There were so many of them, and I love that Hasbro in those early years was really making an effort to make every single variant. But there's really nothing more to show or talk about, so that's where we are wrapping this video up. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you're new to the channel and you want to see more content around Star Wars and Lego and action figures and just toy collecting in general. As always, there's a link down in the description to my social media where I post other toy content, including toy photography. But thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful evening, noon, or night, depending on when you're watching this video. And as always, I'll be sure to catch you all in the next video.